On today's episode of Homeworthy, we're stepping into a gorgeous tea room at the Kips Bay Showhouse in Dallas, Texas. This stunning mansion is where 25 top interior designers from around the country each had just 8 weeks to transform a different space. And this enchanting retreat was designed by Amanda Darnell and Claire Ratliff. Inspired by the charm and elegance of 19th-century European tea rooms, this space is designed for both relaxing solitude and lively gatherings. Once a tiny office space, this tea room has been transformed by aquamarine silk wallpaper and accented by custom back-painted glass that makes the room gleam with a sophisticated grandeur. From the lush curtains to the cozy velvet banquette, every detail invites you to savor a quiet moment or enjoy a cocktail with friends. So settle in and escape to this luxurious space at the Kips Bay Showhouse. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, Homeworthy.
I'm Claire.
And I'm Amanda. And welcome to our tea room. The tea room started as an inspiration, as something that we've never been able to design for a client before, so we thought it would be a fun theme to kind of run with. And it's a space where you can come morning, noon, or night to relax with your morning coffee, or like spill the tea with your friends, or after dinner drinks and add some libations to your tea or whatever you're pouring yourself.
It was a beautiful 16 by 16 office space with an acoustical tile ceiling. It was just lovely. The inspiration for this room was Brighton Pavilion in the UK. The very first thing we fell in love with when we started was the beautiful hand-painted Gracie wallpaper panels behind us. And it got us thinking about the pagodas and everything. And immediately we started thinking about Brighton Pavilion and what a whimsical, fun place it is.
We started building the room, kind of thinking about what architectural elements we could add to make it more interesting than the office space that we started with. And so we added the lacquer strapping inset with brass, and we kind of just kept building it up to the ceiling and putting the strapping on the ceiling to make it look a little bit like a tailored pagoda that's in the wallpaper. I didn't start out wanting to be an interior designer. I wanted to be an art director for movie sets, and after a brief internship for a production company in LA, I realized that wasn't really my people or my scene. And so then I thought I was gonna maybe go to nursing school, and I landed an internship very out of the blue in New York for a designer and fell in love with the industry. I think you were a little bit more straight path, right?
Well, a little bit. I fought it a little, but my mother was an interior designer, so I grew up around it. And I think I was in the car at every antique store in the entire state of Texas waiting for her, tapping my foot. So my immediate reaction was, I do not want to do that, but I just couldn't escape it.
Here is our vintage sideboard. It's an Art Deco piece with lacquered fronts. And we have these beautiful rock crystal lamps from Phoenix Antique Gallery in New York with the custom tape trim shade made by the Lamp Shop in Dallas. These amazing textile art pieces with the antique plates hung above them are flanking a David LaChapelle photograph called Collapse in the Garden to kind of perpetuate that Alice in Wonderland feel. And we loved kind of like the architectural moment of the topiaries there, just like amongst the brass strapping that we added to the room. Of course, we have a bar cart because you need, anything that your guests in the tea room are gonna ask for, with our silver ice bucket and shaker. And some blue and white porcelain to kind of tie in the plates and that kind of old world feel of the scenic wallpaper across the wall. We have the John Dickinson plaster pedestal with David Hinault has graciously lent us this sculpture that we like. It reminds us of a whale tail, which is nice with the blue silk background.
So we're moving on to our beautiful antique grotto chair from Wolf Hall Antiques here in Dallas that they were kind enough to loan to us. And it's next to a table that we actually custom made the top and the base, but The central pedestal, the brass pedestal, was something that we bought at auction. And on top we have this gorgeous blue and white tulipier vase, which we're obsessed with. And some white pagodas actually from my collection, because I've never met a pagoda I didn't like. And then our silver tea set from the Antique Swan in Austin. And we have this really fun stool with the paw feet from
Nick Brock
here in Dallas. And then of course our beautiful palm trees that we saw in the window of Wolf Hall Antiques and absolutely had to have in our room.
And then of course we come to the tented, beautiful Gracie scenic wallpaper that we wanted to kind of frame like this picture window. And that's kind of, you know, the whole central inspiration of the room with the pagodas and the colors and just kind of that old world vibe. We have this amazing carved wood mirror from Coco and Dash that's like a little portal into this kind of like alternate reality, so you can escape from your problems or whatever your day-to-day are as you're sipping your cup of tea. And then one of our favorite pieces is this custom banquette with like the fun tape trim detail and the scroll. And then of course the bolsters with the Holland and Sherry embroidered trim. And then we just kind of like kept on adding more gimp just to give it like a little pattern without having a pattern on here. And Holland and Sherry's gorgeous embroidered pillows, which are just so fun, and they're subtle, but like just the different textures on the velvet banquette are so fun. And we have been obsessed with this ombre brushed fringe forever from Holland and Sherry, the gorgeous Dadar pillows. And Ebron in New York has this amazing heavy cashmere throw that's two-toned and just blends the different colors perfectly. And then you can see the back painted glass that we added under the chair rail just to add a little bit of a reflection in this kind of like jewel box moment. And we just love like this with the Moroccan tables in front, and then of course like the natural sisal rug with the space nail heads. It just feels like you kind of have like all of these details merging as one, and it's, once again, like Claire said, nothing's too precious, but it gives this kind of jewel box feel. We met in New York working for Coleman and Kravis, which is a great firm there. Claire was there for like over 20 years, and she was a partner there, and we worked together for about 8 years. And then my husband got a job in Austin, Texas, which brought me there, which happens to be Claire's hometown, and her family was still there, and then the pandemic hit New York, and it kind of was stars aligning, and we were like, we should just maybe start putting down roots in Austin, and we've, hit the ground running ever since. I love the kind of like decoding of each project, and I think that's one thing that we like, and we at the firm in New York, we got to do like many different styles. It wasn't just kind of like one note, and we've continued that for our own company. And I love kind of like extracting what our clients actually want and what they need and what is gonna suit them best. And I feel like kind of, uncovering like maybe sometimes when they're not quite sure, and that whole evolution in the beginning.
And for me, I think it would be the thrill of the hunt. I love to source things. I love to antique. I have a massive auction addiction. It's a big problem. And now that they're all online, it's even a bigger problem.
We got the 2 Moroccan tables at auction that Claire found, so that was fun in our room.
Yeah, so for me, it's the sourcing and the shopping, quite honestly.
Yeah. We were excited to find out that we were doing Kips Bay, but the timeline is insane. And
intense.
So we hit the ground running, and I think we had amazing sponsors that we worked with, and a lot of our vendors that were so generous. And you know, in the speaking of the timeline, you kind of have to make a decision, and you can't double think it, which
I'm a bit of an overthinker, so it really helped me rein that in because I didn't have time to do it.
Yeah. And we worked with great vendors in Dallas, and the community really loves Kips Bay here, so that's been fun to kind of be a part of. And then as you're kind of turning the corner, we have the beautiful Forbes and Lomax brass switch plate, which we are always obsessed with. It's like a little jewel, like piece of jewelry on the wall, and we just love the little toggle switches. And then of course we had to have the matching pair of palm trees here, just kind of as an entrance piece, set in front of the beautiful full curtains that the shade store did, and they are like triple lined. We have this amazing, it's this heavy Dadar linen and a silk tape trim, and then of course we love the silk brush trim that we had them put on the edges, and we had them line it with a contrast lining, so that way you kind of have this like a little bit of a moody moment as you walk into the room, and then it's a little bit of like a cream relief in front of the blues of the wall. It's fun doing such a small space because I feel like we kind of made sure that every inch was like a detail or something fun that we, wanted to draw your eye to. And one of my favorite things is, of course, the silk brush fringe on the curtains and how it like lays on the natural sisal rug with the space nail heads on the leather border. I think it's just so fun, and it's such a fun little detail that kind of is off of like this beautiful antique rug.
One of my favorite details in the room is actually the lacquer trim that we had custom made and inset with brass strapping that we put incrementally going up the wall to sort of create the feeling of a pagoda, like the pagodas that we're seeing in our scenic wallpaper. And they go up to this amazing custom plaster frieze that Kashi Plaster in Dallas made for us. And we thought, what can we do that's a little different to even embellish on top of that amazing frieze? And so we put these beautiful brass medallions from Hules inset in the middle of each one. And then we continued the strapping onto the ceiling with the brass to, again, we wanted it to feel like a little jewel box pagoda.
I think the overall feeling that we want, our visitors in the tea room to feel is like that you can like sit down and relax. And I think it's not like as formal as some of the elements are. They're all like very functional. So you have the 10-foot banquette that you can have multiple people. You have the rock crystal tables that you can, like, you can't really pull up because they're really heavy, but you can definitely sit on, and you're not going to worry about tipping anything over or, damaging wood. And so I feel like it's like every space is meant to be kind of explored and used.
I think all the layers and also sort of the sense of whimsy too. Like there's nothing in the room, although there's many beautiful, handmade things here, nothing seems serious or, I don't know, too precious to enjoy.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.